The room was massive, larger than any human had ever built on Earth. Its walls shimmered with a strange light that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The ceiling stretched so high it disappeared into darkness, dotted only by faint glimmers of stars projected onto it, creating the illusion of being in deep space. Hundreds of beings filled the chamber, their forms as varied as the planets they came from. Some were tall with elongated limbs, others small and round like boulders. A few floated silently above the ground, their bodies glowing faintly. It was the Galactic Summit, an annual gathering where representatives from across the galaxy met to discuss matters of peace, trade, and survival. Among them sat President William Carter, a man in his mid-50s with graying hair and sharp blue eyes. He was dressed in a simple navy blue suit, standing out against the colorful robes and metallic exoskeletons worn by many of the alien delegates. Beside him stood Laura Bennett, his trusted advisor. She was younger, perhaps in her early 30s, with short brown hair and glasses perched neatly on her nose. Her presence was calm but alert, her gaze constantly scanning the room for reactions or signs of trouble. William leaned slightly toward Laura and whispered, "This feels more like a courtroom than a meeting." His voice carried just enough frustration to make his point clear without drawing attention. Laura gave him a reassuring nod, though her expression remained serious. "Stay focused," she murmured back. "We knew this wouldn't be easy." At the center of the room stood Vraktor, the chair of the Galactic Council. He, or rather it, was an insectoid creature with 6 spindly legs and a segmented body covered in iridescent plates. 2 large, multifaceted eyes dominated its face, reflecting the dim lights of the chamber. Its voice emerged not from a mouth but through a series of clicks and hums translated into words by a device strapped to its thorax. "Delegates of the galaxy," Vraktor began, its tone formal, yet cold. "Today we address a matter of great importance, the recent activities of the species known as humans." The room fell silent, every eye, or equivalent sensory organ, turning toward William and his delegation. William felt a chill run down his spine, though he kept his expression neutral. This wasn't going to be good. Vraktor continued, its mechanical voice echoing through the chamber. "Humans have expanded rapidly beyond their home planet Earth. Their ships now travel farther than ever before, and their military forces grow stronger each year. Yet our analyses show something troubling." It paused dramatically, allowing the weight of its words to sink in. Despite their outward displays of strength, humans are fundamentally fearful of war. They lack the resolve necessary to defend themselves, or others, in times of crisis. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some aliens nodded in agreement while others exchanged skeptical glances. William clenched his fists under the table, his knuckles turning white. Fearful? That word stung. Humanity had faced countless wars throughout its history, enduring unimaginable hardships and emerging stronger each time. To label them as cowards was nothing short of insulting. Laura placed a hand gently on William's arm, sensing his rising anger. "Don't react," she whispered urgently. "Not yet." But William couldn't help himself. He leaned forward slightly, his voice low but firm. "They don't know us," he said. "They haven't seen what we've overcome." Vraktor ignored the quiet exchange and pressed on. "Our data suggests that humanity's rapid expansion is driven not by confidence but by fear, a fear of being left behind, of becoming irrelevant in a galaxy far older and wiser than they are. This fear makes them unpredictable, potentially dangerous, and should conflict arise, their inability to act decisively could jeopardize entire systems." The words hit William like a punch to the gut. Dangerous? Irrelevant? These accusations were absurd, yet they came from one of the most respected voices in the galaxy. He glanced around the room, searching for support, but found none. Instead, he saw pity. Pity in the eyes of a squid-like ambassador floating nearby, pity in the posture of a reptilian delegate sitting 2 rows ahead. Even the robotic envoy from A distant machine civilization tilted its head in what appeared to be sympathy. When the session ended, several delegates approached William, not to offer encouragement, but to express concern. One of them, a tall, slender being with translucent skin, spoke softly. "Your people must learn to control their fears, President Carter, for the sake of the galaxy." Another, a hulking quadruped with fur-covered limbs, added, "Perhaps you should focus on internal matters before venturing further into the stars." Each comment chipped away at William's patience. By the time he returned to his seat, his jaw was tight and his mind raced with thoughts of how to respond. Laura, ever the voice of reason, tried to calm him. "They're testing you," she said, trying to provoke a reaction. Don't give them the satisfaction. But William wasn't listening. As he stared out at the sea of alien faces, he realized something crucial. This wasn't just about him or even about Earth. It was about proving humanity's worth, to themselves and to the rest of the galaxy. If they let this insult slide, they would forever be seen as weak, unworthy of respect. And that was something William refused to accept. Back aboard the EOS Voyager, the human delegation's ship parked in orbit around the host planet, William paced the conference room. The walls were lined with screens displaying maps of the galaxy, schematics of Earth's latest technologies, and recordings of the day's events. Laura sat at the table, reviewing the footage of Raktor's speech. Her brow furrowed as she replayed key moments, analyzing tone and body language. "What do we do now?" William asked, stopping abruptly. His voice was quieter than before, tinged with both frustration and determination. "How do we prove them wrong?" Laura looked up, her expression thoughtful. "We need to show them who we really are," she said. "Not just with words, but with action. Something undeniable." William nodded slowly, mulling over her suggestion. Then an idea began to form in his mind. An idea bold enough to silence their critics and strong enough to earn humanity's place among the stars. The EOS Voyager hummed softly as it orbited the host planet, its sleek silver hull reflecting the light of a distant star. Inside, the mood was tense. William Carter sat at the head of a long table in the ship's conference room, his hands clasped tightly together. Laura Bennett stood nearby, pointing to holographic projections floating above the table. The images showed graphs, schematics, and recordings from the Galactic Summit. Each one reinforced the same message. Humanity had been dismissed as weak, fearful, and irrelevant. "We can't let this stand," William said finally, breaking the silence. His voice was firm but tinged with frustration. "They think we're afraid? Fine. Let's show them what we're made of." Laura nodded, her expression calm but serious. "Agreed, but we need to be smart about it. Reacting emotionally will only confirm their assumptions. We need something concrete, something undeniable." William leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. He knew she was right. Anger wouldn't solve anything. What they needed was proof that humanity wasn't just another fragile species clinging to survival. They needed to demonstrate strength, innovation, and resolve. All qualities the Galactic Council seemed to doubt. "What do we have?" he asked after a moment. "What can we use to prove our worth?" Laura tapped a control panel, and the hologram shifted. A new image appeared, a sleek, futuristic weapon powered by fusion energy. It looked more like a piece of art than a tool of destruction. "This," she said, gesturing toward the projection. "It's part of Project Phoenix. You've heard of it, right?" William frowned. "I've seen reports, but I don't know much about it. Isn't it still classified?" "It is," Laura admitted, "but now might be the time to reveal it. Dr. Nathan Cole has been leading the project for years. He's developed technology that uses clean fusion power, not just for weapons, but for sustainable energy solutions too. If we showcase this, at the next summit session, it could change everything." William studied the image carefully. The weapon didn't look intimidating in the traditional sense. There were no sharp edges or menacing designs. Instead, it radiated precision and efficiency. "How does it work?" he asked. "It's simple, really," Laura explained. Instead of relying on brute force, it targets specific threats with pinpoint accuracy. No collateral damage, no wasted resources. And because it's powered by fusion, it's incredibly efficient. It shows we're not just thinking about war, we're thinking about the future. William nodded slowly, considering the implications. Revealing such advanced technology carried risks. Some alien factions might see it as provocative, even aggressive. On the other hand, keeping it hidden would mean missing an opportunity to prove humanity's capabilities. After a moment of thought, he made his decision. "Let's do it," he said firmly, "but we'll need to prepare carefully. This isn't just about showing off a weapon, it's about sending a message. We're strong, yes, but we're also responsible. If we play this right, we can turn their doubts into respect." Back on Earth, news of the Galactic Council's assessment spread quickly. Social media buzzed with outrage. Headlines screamed accusations of bias, and protests erupted outside government buildings. Despite the public backlash, William remained focused. He called an emergency meeting with world leaders, gathering representatives from every continent via secure video link. The virtual conference room was crowded, with faces appearing on screens arranged in a grid. Each leader looked anxious, eager to hear what their president had planned. "Ladies and gentlemen," William began, standing before a large monitor displaying the Earth's flag. "We've been insulted, not just by one species, but by the entire Galactic Council. They've labeled us as weak, fearful, and incapable of contributing meaningfully to galactic affairs. I'm here to tell you that we won't accept this judgment without a fight." The room fell silent. Even those who had initially doubted William's leadership now listened intently. He went on to explain the plan, showcasing Project Phoenix, during the next summit session. As he spoke, his confidence inspired others to believe in the idea. By the end of the presentation, several leaders voiced their support, pledging resources and cooperation to make the demonstration a success. 1. Of them, Prime Minister Elena Rodriguez of Argentina raised a cautious question. What if this backfires? What if they see it as a threat instead of progress? William acknowledged the risk but countered with determination. There's always a chance it could go wrong, but doing nothing guarantees failure. We owe it, to ourselves and to future generations, to take this step. Humanity's place in the galaxy depends on it. With unanimous approval from the United Nations, preparations moved forward at lightning speed. Teams of engineers, scientists, and diplomats worked around the clock to ensure everything was ready. At the heart of the operation was Dr. Nathan Cole, the man behind Project Phoenix. A physicist in his late 40s with graying hair and a quiet demeanor, Nathan had dedicated most of his life to developing sustainable energy technologies. Assisting him was Maria Lopez, a brilliant young engineer with a knack for problem-solving and a relentless work ethic. The two spent countless hours fine-tuning the prototype weapon, running simulations and addressing last-minute issues. Their workspace was a sprawling laboratory filled with glowing monitors, humming machines, and scattered blueprints. Despite the pressure, Nathan maintained a steady focus, often reminding Maria to stay calm. "We've got this," he'd say, whenever stress threatened to overwhelm them. "Just one step at a time." Maria appreciated his reassurance but couldn't shake the weight of responsibility. "If this fails," she said one evening as they reviewed data, "it won't just be us who suffer, it'll be everyone." Nathan nodded, his expression thoughtful. "That's why we can't fail, not just for us but for Earth, for all of humanity." As the days passed, rumors of Earth's plans began spreading among alien diplomats stationed near the summit venue. Some speculated about secret weapons, while others accused humanity of escalating tensions. Vraktor, the insectoid chair of the Galactic Council, called an emergency briefing to address these concerns. Representatives from various species gathered in a smaller chamber, their voices rising in heated debate. "They're hiding something," growled Zogar, a hulking quadruped with thick fur covering his body. "Why else would they keep their technology classified?" A slender, bird-like ambassador named Kalis chimed in. her melodic voice cutting through the noise. Perhaps they wish to avoid provoking conflict. After all, humans are newcomers to the galaxy. Caution is understandable. Vraktor clicked its mandibles impatiently. Understandable or not, secrecy breeds mistrust. We must demand transparency or prepare for the worst. Meanwhile, aboard the EOS Voyager, William monitored these developments closely. Reports poured in from intelligence agents embedded within alien delegations, painting a picture of growing unease. Laura advised caution, warning against making any premature moves. Let them speculate, she said. Uncertainty works in our favor. When the time comes, we'll hit them with the truth. William agreed, though privately, he felt a gnawing sense of anxiety. Fear wasn't something he liked to admit, especially not now. But as the date of the next summit approached, he found himself lying awake at night, replaying scenarios in his mind. What if the demonstration failed? What if the council reacted with hostility instead of admiration? The possibilities weighed heavily on him, but he refused to let doubt dictate his actions. On the morning of the big day, the human delegation gathered in the ship's main hall for a final briefing. Engineers checked equipment, diplomats rehearsed speeches, and security teams reviewed protocols. William stood at the front of the room, addressing the group with quiet authority. Today, he said, his voice steady, we prove to the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. We show them our strength, our ingenuity, and our commitment to peace. Remember, we're not just representing ourselves. We're representing everyone on Earth. Let's make them proud. Applause broke out, filling the room with a sense of unity and purpose. As the team dispersed to their respective stations, William turned to Laura, who offered a small smile. Ready? She asked. He took a deep breath, straightening his suit jacket. As ready as I'll ever be. Together, they stepped onto the shuttle that would carry them to the summit venue. Below them, the host planet loomed large, its surface dotted with shimmering cities and sprawling landscapes. Beyond it stretched the infinite expanse of space, a reminder of how far humanity had come and how much farther it had yet to go. For better or worse, the next few hours would determine Earth's fate in the galaxy. The days leading up to the demonstration were a blur of activity. Back on Earth, Dr. Nathan Cole and Maria Lopez worked tirelessly in their laboratory, surrounded by glowing screens, whirring machines, and stacks of technical documents. The prototype weapon they had developed under Project Phoenix was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was sleek, efficient, and designed not to destroy indiscriminately, but to neutralize threats with precision. Every detail mattered, from the fusion core that powered it to the targeting system that ensured no innocent lives would be harmed. Nathan leaned over a console, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he ran yet another diagnostic test. His face was pale from lack of sleep, but his focus never wavered. How's the calibration? He asked Maria, who was crouched nearby, adjusting a panel on the weapon's underside. Almost there, she replied, her voice tight with concentration. Just need to fine-tune the energy output. If we push it too high, we risk destabilizing the core. Nathan nodded. Take your time. We can't afford any mistakes. Maria glanced up at him, her dark eyes sharp behind her glasses. You don't have to remind me. I know what's at stake here. They both did. This wasn't just about proving humanity's worth to the Galactic Council. It was about securing Earth's future in a galaxy full of powerful, sometimes hostile species. Failure wasn't an option. For hours they worked side by side, testing and retesting every component until they were confident the weapon would perform flawlessly. Meanwhile, President William Carter addressed the United Nations once more, rallying global leaders to support the demonstration. The virtual meeting room buzzed with anticipation as representatives from every corner of the world watched him speak. On the screen behind him, images of the prototype weapon rotated slowly, accompanied by statistics highlighting its efficiency and safety. We stand on the brink of something extraordinary, William said, his tone steady but passionate. This is our chance to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Not through aggression, but through innovation, through responsibility. Together we can prove that we are not afraid. We are ready. His words resonated deeply, earning nods of approval and murmurs of agreement from the assembled leaders. Some had been skeptical at first, fearing the risks of revealing classified technology, but William's conviction won them over. By the end of the session, even the most cautious nations pledged their full cooperation. As preparations continued, tensions grew among alien diplomats stationed near the summit venue. Rumors spread like wildfire, fueled by whispers and speculation. Some believed Earth was planning an attack, while others thought the demonstration was merely a bluff. Vraktor, the insectoid chair of the Galactic Council, called another emergency briefing to address the mounting concerns. "They're hiding something," growled Zogar, the hulking quadruped with thick fur covering his body. His deep voice rumbled through the chamber, drawing nervous glances from other delegates. Why else would they keep their plans so secretive? A slender, bird-like ambassador named Kalis tilted her head, her melodic voice cutting through the tension. Perhaps they simply wish to avoid provoking conflict. Humans are newcomers to the galactic stage. Caution is understandable. Vraktor clicked its mandibles impatiently. Understandable or not, secrecy breeds mistrust. We must demand transparency, or prepare for the worst. William monitored these developments closely aboard the EOS Voyager. Intelligence reports painted a picture of growing unease among alien factions, many of whom viewed humanity's actions with suspicion. Laura Bennett, ever the strategist, advised caution. "Let them speculate," she said during one of their late-night strategy sessions. "Uncertainty works in our favor. When the time comes, we'll hit them with the truth." William agreed, though privately he felt a gnawing sense of anxiety. Fear wasn't something he liked to admit, especially not now. But as the date of the demonstration approached, he found himself lying awake at night, replaying scenarios in his mind. What if the demonstration failed? What if the council reacted with hostility instead of admiration? The possibilities weighed heavily on him, but he refused to let doubt dictate his actions. On the morning of the big day, the human delegation gathered in the ship's main hall for a final briefing. Engineers checked equipment, diplomats rehearsed speeches, and security teams reviewed protocols. William stood at the front of the room, addressing the group with quiet authority. "Today," he said, his voice steady, "we prove to the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. We show them our strength, our ingenuity, and our commitment to peace. Remember, we're not just representing ourselves. We're representing everyone on Earth. Let's make them proud." Applause broke out, filling the room with a sense of unity and purpose. As the team dispersed to their respective stations, William turned to Laura, who offered a small smile. "Ready?" she asked. He took a deep breath, straightening his suit jacket. "As ready as I'll ever be." Together, they stepped onto the shuttle that would carry them to the summit venue. Below them, the host planet loomed large, its surface dotted with shimmering cities and sprawling landscapes. Beyond it stretched the infinite expanse of space, a reminder of how far humanity had come, and how much farther it had yet to go. For, better or worse, the next few hours would determine Earth's fate in the galaxy. When they arrived at the summit chamber, the atmosphere was electric. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the room, their forms as varied as the stars above. Some floated silently, their bodies glowing faintly, while others sat rigidly in their seats, eyes, or equivalent sensory organs, fixed on the stage where William and his team would present their demonstration. William took his place at the podium, flanked by holographic displays showing Earth's technological achievements. Beside him stood Nathan and Maria, both looking calm but alert. The room fell silent as Vraktor introduced the session, its mechanical voice echoing through the chamber. "Delegates of the galaxy," it began. "Today, the humans will present evidence to refute the Council's assessment. Let us observe with open minds." William stepped forward, his posture confident despite the weight of expectation pressing down on him. "Thank you, Chair Vraktor," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the room. "Before we begin, I want to address the Council's claims. Yes, humanity is young compared to many of the civilizations represented here. Yes, we've made mistakes in our past. But we've also learned from those mistakes. We've grown stronger, smarter, and more determined to contribute meaningfully to this galaxy. He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. To demonstrate this, I'd like to introduce Dr. Nathan Cole, the lead scientist behind Project Phoenix. He will explain how this technology represents not just our capabilities but our values. Nathan stepped forward, his expression calm but focused. Behind him, holograms displayed schematics of the fusion-powered weapon. Project Phoenix is the result of years of research and development, he began, his voice clear and measured. It uses clean fusion energy to create a weapon that is both powerful and precise. Unlike traditional weapons, which rely on brute force, this system targets specific threats without causing collateral damage. It's designed not for destruction, but for protection and sustainability. As Nathan spoke, Maria activated the YAI prototype weapon, which hovered silently in the center of the stage. Its sleek design caught the light, drawing gasps of awe from the audience. Nathan gestured toward it. This isn't just a tool of war. It's a symbol of humanity's commitment to peace and progress. And now we'll show you how it works. The lights dimmed, and a simulated battlefield appeared on the walls of the chamber. Holographic enemies moved across the terrain, their movements lifelike and menacing. Nathan gave a signal and Maria triggered the weapon. A beam of light shot out, striking each target with pinpoint accuracy. One by one, the holographic enemies vanished, leaving the surrounding environment untouched. Gasps rippled through the room as the demonstration concluded. For several moments there was complete silence. Then, applause erupted, not just from human allies, but from neutral observers impressed by the ingenuity and restraint shown. Even some of the council members exchanged surprised glances. Vractor, however, looked uneasy, whispering urgently to fellow council members. William noticed and allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. The tide was turning. After the session ended, delegates swarmed around William and his team, eager to learn more about the technology. Some expressed admiration, while others remained cautious but curious. Among them was Zinara, a reptilian dignitary with iridescent scales. She approached William with a respectful nod. "Your demonstration was impressive," she said, her voice smooth and measured. "It shows that humanity is capable of great things when given the chance. Perhaps the council was mistaken in its assessment." William met her gaze, his expression calm but firm. "We're not perfect, Ambassador Zinara, but we're learning. And we're committed to being a force for good in this galaxy." Zinara inclined her head slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement. "Then perhaps it is time for us to reconsider our stance." As the day drew to a close, William returned to the Eos Voyager, exhaustion finally catching up to him. Laura joined, him in the observation deck where they gazed out at the stars together. "You did it," she said softly. The aftermath of the demonstration rippled through the Galactic summit like a shockwave. For days, whispers and debates filled the corridors outside the main chamber. Delegates from various species exchanged opinions in hushed tones, their expressions ranging from admiration to skepticism. Some were genuinely impressed by humanity's ingenuity, while others remained cautious, unwilling to fully trust Earth's intentions. Back aboard the Eos Voyager, William Carter and Laura Bennett monitored these reactions closely, analyzing every word and gesture for signs of shifting alliances. William stood in the ship's command center, staring at a holographic map of the galaxy projected onto the wall. It showed the positions of key alien factions, color-coded based on their current stance toward humanity. Green for allies, yellow for neutrals, and red for potential adversaries. Most markers were still yellow, but a few had shifted to green since the demonstration. Progress, though small, was undeniable. "They're talking," Laura said as she entered the room, holding a tablet with updated intelligence reports. "Not all of them are convinced, but some are starting to see us differently." William nodded, his gaze fixed on the map. "It's a start, but we need more than just talk. We need action," something that shows we're serious about working together. Laura leaned against the console, her expression thoughtful. What if we propose a joint initiative? Something that benefits everyone, not just us. William turned to her, intrigued. Like what? She tapped the tablet, pulling up a list of recent galactic challenges. Resource shortages, environmental degradation, and rising tensions between certain factions. We could offer our fusion technology as a solution to energy crises. Clean, sustainable power is something every species needs. And if we frame it as a collaborative effort, it might ease their fears about us being too aggressive. William considered the idea, his mind racing with possibilities. That could work, but we'd need to tread carefully. Offering help is one thing, appearing patronizing is another. Agreed, Laura replied. We'll emphasize partnership, not charity. Let them know we're willing to learn from them too. With a plan forming, William called an emergency meeting with Nathan Cole and Maria Lopez to discuss the proposal. The two scientists joined him in the conference room, looking tired but determined after weeks of non-stop work. When William explained the idea, Nathan raised an eyebrow. You want to share Project Phoenix? He asked, his tone skeptical. That's risky. What if they misuse the technology? Maria chimed in, her voice firm. Or worse, what if they try to reverse engineer it? This isn't just our secret, it's Earth's. William held up a hand, silencing their concerns. I understand your hesitation, but keeping it locked away won't win us friends. If we truly want to earn their trust, we have to take this step. Besides, we'll set strict guidelines and safeguards to prevent abuse. Nathan sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. All right, I'll help draft the technical details, but we'll need diplomatic support to make this work. That's where I come in, Laura said, stepping forward. I'll coordinate with the ambassadors who've shown interest. Together we can present this as a chance for mutual growth, not dominance. The next day, William addressed the Galactic Council once again, this time proposing the formation of a new coalition focused on sustainable development. Standing at the podium, he spoke with calm authority, his words carrying both conviction and humility. Delegates of the galaxy, he began, we've demonstrated our capabilities, but now we wish to demonstrate our values. Humanity has much to learn from you, and perhaps we have something to offer in return. Our fusion technology developed under Project Presidents paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. Before we begin, I want to address the Council's claims. Yes, humanity is young compared to many of the civilizations represented here. Yes, we've made mistakes in our past, but we've also learned from those mistakes. We've grown stronger, smarter, and more determined to contribute meaningfully to this galaxy. He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. To demonstrate this, I'd like to introduce Dr. Nathan Cole, the lead scientist behind Project Phoenix. He will explain how this technology represents not just our capabilities but our values. Nathan stepped forward, his expression calm but focused. Behind him, holograms displayed schematics of the fusion-powered weapon. Project Phoenix is the result of years of research and development, he began, his voice clear and measured. It uses clean fusion energy to create a weapon that is both powerful and precise. Unlike traditional weapons which rely on brute force, this system targets specific threats without causing collateral damage. It's designed not for destruction, but for protection and sustainability. As Nathan spoke, Maria activated the prototype weapon, which hovered silently in the center of the stage. Its sleek design caught the light, drawing gasps of awe from the audience. Nathan gestured toward it. This isn't just a tool of war. It's a symbol of humanity's commitment to peace and progress. And now, we'll show you how it works. Lights dimmed and a simulated battlefield appeared on the walls of the chamber. Holographic enemies moved across the terrain, their movements lifelike and menacing. Nathan gave a signal, and Maria triggered the weapon. A beam of light shot out, striking each target with pinpoint accuracy. One by one, the holographic enemies vanished, leaving the surrounding environment untouched. Gasps rippled through the room as the demonstration concluded. For several moments, there was complete silence. Then applause erupted, not just from human allies but from neutral observers impressed by the ingenuity and restraint shown. Even some of the council members exchanged surprised glances. Fraktor, however, looked uneasy, whispering urgently to fellow council members. William noticed and allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. The tide was turning. After the session ended, delegates swarmed around William and his team, eager to learn more about the technology. Some expressed admiration, while others remained cautious but curious. Among them was Zinara, a reptilian dignitary with iridescent scales. She approached William with a respectful nod. "Your demonstration was impressive," she said, her voice smooth and measured. "It shows that humanity is capable of great things when given the chance. Perhaps the council was mistaken in its assessment." William met her gaze, his expression calm but firm. "We're not perfect, Ambassador Zinara, but we're learning, and we're committed to being a force for good in this galaxy." Zinara inclined her head slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement. "Then perhaps it is time for us to reconsider our stance." As the day drew to a close, William returned to the EOS Voyager, exhaustion finally catching up to him. Laura joined him in the observation deck where they gazed out at the stars together. "You did it," she said softly. "You proved them wrong." William sighed, leaning against the railing. "For now, yes, but this is just the beginning. We've earned their respect, but maintaining it won't be easy." Laura smiled. "One step at a time, remember?" He nodded, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. One step at a time. The days following William Carter's proposal for a new coalition were filled with intense negotiations. The Galactic Council convened multiple times to discuss humanity's offer, and the debates grew heated. Some delegates argued that sharing advanced technology could destabilize the galaxy, while others saw it as an opportunity to address long-standing issues like energy shortages and environmental decay. Fraktor, the insectoid chair of the council, remained cautious but acknowledged that humanity's demonstration had sparked meaningful conversations. Back aboard the EOS Voyager, William and Laura worked tirelessly to build support for the YAO initiative. They met with key ambassadors individually, explaining the benefits of collaboration and addressing concerns about Earth's intentions. Laura's diplomatic skills proved invaluable as she navigated cultural differences and sensitivities, ensuring that every species felt respected and included. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, William sat in the ship's observation deck staring out at the stars. Laura joined him carrying 2 steaming cups of coffee. She handed one to him and sat down beside him, her expression thoughtful. "They're still hesitant," she said, sipping her drink. "But I think we're making progress." William nodded, taking a sip of his own coffee. "It's not just about the technology anymore. It's about trust. They need to see that we're willing to listen and learn from them too." Laura smiled faintly. "You've already started doing that. Remember Zinara? She practically called us equals during the last meeting." William chuckled softly. "Yeah, that was something. But one ally isn't enough. We need more if this coalition is going to work." Meanwhile, on Earth, Nathan Cole and Maria Lopez continued refining Project Phoenix's fusion technology. Their laboratory buzzed with activity as teams of engineers worked around the clock to adapt the system for civilian use. While the weapon itself remained classified, its core principles, clean energy generation and precision targeting, could be applied to solve global challenges like power shortages and pollution. Nathan stood in front of a large monitor, reviewing data from recent tests. His face was lined with exhaustion, but his eyes sparkled with determination. "This could change everything," he murmured to Maria, who was adjusting settings on a nearby console. "If we can scale this up, imagine what it could do for planets struggling with resource scarcity." Maria glanced over her shoulder, her dark eyes sharp behind her glasses. "We're getting close, but scaling it won't be easy. Every planet has different needs and limitations." Nathan nodded. "That's why we'll need input from other species. This isn't just our project anymore, it belongs to everyone." As they worked, news of the coalition spread across the galaxy. Social media platforms used by alien civilizations lit up with discussions about humanity's proposal. Some praised Earth's willingness to share its advancements, while others accused humans of seeking dominance under the guise of cooperation. Despite the mixed reactions, interest in the coalition grew steadily, fueled by curiosity and hope. At the next Galactic Summit session, William stepped onto the stage once again, this time accompanied by Nathan and Maria. The chamber was packed with delegates, their expressions ranging from eager anticipation to guarded skepticism. William took a deep breath before speaking, his voice calm but firm. "Delegates of the galaxy," he began, "we stand at a crossroads. The challenges we face, energy crises, environmental destruction, and rising tensions, are not unique to any one species. They affect us all, and yet too often, we focus on our differences instead of our shared goals." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Today, we propose a solution, a coalition dedicated to sustainable development. Together, we can harness the power of clean fusion energy to create a brighter future, not just for humanity, but for every being in this galaxy." Nathan stepped forward, gesturing toward holographic displays showing how the technology could be adapted for various environments. "This isn't just a tool for Earth," he explained. "It's a foundation for collaboration. By working together, we can tailor this system to meet the specific needs of each planet and civilization." Maria added her voice to the presentation, emphasizing the importance of safety measures and ethical guidelines. "We understand the risks," she said. "That's why we're proposing strict regulations to ensure this technology is used responsibly. No shortcuts, no compromises." The room fell silent as the delegates absorbed the information. Then, slowly, applause began to ripple through the crowd. It started with a few claps but quickly grew into a wave of approval. Even some of the council members joined in, their earlier skepticism giving way to cautious optimism. Raktor clicked its mandibles thoughtfully before addressing the assembly. "This proposal represents a significant shift in interstellar relations. While questions remain, it is clear that humanity has taken a step toward bridging divides. Let us consider this carefully and openly." After the session ended, William and his team were surrounded by curious delegates eager to learn more. Zanara approached him once again, her iridescent scales shimmering in the light. "You've done well, President Carter," she said, her melodic voice warm with approval. "Perhaps there is wisdom in your youth after all." William smiled, feeling a sense of pride despite the challenges ahead. "Thank you, Ambassador Zainara. But this isn't just my victory. It belongs to everyone, here, including you." Zanara inclined her head slightly. "Then let us move forward, together." Later that night, back aboard the EOS Voyager, William gathered his team in the conference room to debrief. Nathan and Maria looked exhausted but exhilarated, their faces glowing with a sense of accomplishment. Laura leaned against the wall, her arms crossed, her expression calm but alert. "We did it," William said finally, breaking the silence. "We've planted the seed. Now comes the hard part, nurturing it." Nathan nodded. "Scaling the technology will take time, and convincing everyone to cooperate won't be easy." Maria chimed in, her tone resolute. "But we've got momentum. That's half the battle." William turned to Laura. "What's next?" She straightened, pulling out her tablet. "We start drafting agreements. Legal frameworks, safety protocols, resource-sharing plans, the works, and we keep engaging with the delegates. The more they feel involved, the better," William sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. "Then let's get to work." In the weeks that followed, humanity's role in the galaxy began to shift. Earth became a hub of activity as delegations from various species arrived to participate in coalition meetings. Scientists, engineers, and diplomats collaborated on adapting Project Phoenix's technology for widespread use. Slowly but surely, barriers began to break down, replaced by bonds of mutual respect and understanding. For William, the journey was far from over. He knew that earning the galaxy's trust would require patience, perseverance, and humility. But, as he gazed out at the stars from the EOS Voyager's observation deck, He felt a quiet sense of hope. Humanity had taken its first real step toward becoming part of something greater, a community united not by fear or conflict, but by a shared vision for the future. And for the first time in a long time, William allowed himself to believe that anything was possible. Months passed, and the galaxy began to change in ways no one could have predicted. The coalition proposed by President William Carter gained momentum, drawing support from species across the stars. Earth became a central hub for collaboration, its cities bustling with alien visitors who came to share knowledge, exchange ideas, and work alongside human scientists. The fusion technology developed under Project Phoenix was adapted into systems that powered entire planets, purified, polluted atmospheres, and even revived dying ecosystems. Humanity's reputation transformed from that of a cautious newcomer to a trusted partner, respected for its ingenuity and willingness to cooperate. Back on Earth, Nathan Cole and Maria Lopez oversaw the deployment of upgraded Phoenix units designed not only to protect but also to sustain. Their laboratory expanded into a sprawling complex staffed by experts from dozens of species. Each day brought new challenges and breakthroughs as teams worked together to refine the technology. Nathan often joked that he barely recognized his own project anymore. It had grown beyond anything he'd imagined. "It's amazing," Maria said one evening, as she and Nathan reviewed data from a recent test. "We started with a weapon, and now we've built something that helps people live better lives." Nathan nodded, his expression thoughtful. "It's proof that science has no limits, if we're willing to think beyond ourselves." Their efforts didn't go unnoticed. News of the coalition's successes spread throughout the galaxy, inspiring other civilizations to adopt similar approaches. Trade routes expanded, cultural exchanges flourished, and joint research initiatives brought innovations that benefited countless worlds. For the first time in galactic history, cooperation seemed more appealing than competition. William Carter stood on the balcony of the United Nations headquarters in New York City, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Below him, crowds gathered to celebrate the coalition's achievements. Delegations from alien species mingled with humans, their laughter and conversations filling the air. It was a scene that would have been unimaginable just a year ago. Laura Bennett joined him, holding 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to William and leaned against the railing, her gaze sweeping over the crowd. "Hard to believe how far we've come," she said softly. William took a sip of his coffee, his eyes distant. "Sometimes I wonder if it's real, if this isn't just some dream we'll wake up from." Laura smiled faintly. "It's real. You made it real." He shook his head. "Not me, all of us. Humanity, and everyone else out there." Laura didn't argue. She knew William wasn't one to take credit even when it was deserved. Instead, she changed the subject. "What's next? Do you think the council will ever fully accept us?" William sighed, setting his cup down. "Maybe someday. But acceptance isn't the goal anymore. What matters is that we're working together. That's what will keep us moving forward." At the next Galactic Summit, held on a neutral planet orbiting a binary star system, the atmosphere was markedly different. Where once there had been tension and mistrust, now there was camaraderie and shared purpose. Delegates greeted each other warmly, exchanging stories and updates about their progress. Even Vraktor, the insectoid chair of the council, seemed less guarded, its multifaceted eyes reflecting a hint of approval. William addressed the assembly, his tone confident but humble. "When we first came here, we were seen as outsiders, weak, fearful, and irrelevant. Today I stand before you as proof that perceptions can change, not because we demanded respect, but because we earned it through action." The room erupted, in applause, the sound echoing through the vast chamber. Cynara, the reptilian dignitary who had once doubted humanity, rose to speak. Her voice carried warmth and sincerity. "President Carter, your leadership has shown us that strength lies not in power but in unity. On behalf of my people, and many others, we thank you." William bowed slightly, acknowledging her words. "Thank you, Ambassador Zanara. But let's not forget, this is just the beginning. There's still so much to do. As the summit concluded, William returned to the EOS Voyager, where Nathan and Maria waited to brief him on the latest developments. The ship hummed softly as it prepared to depart, its engines glowing faintly against the backdrop of stars. "How's everything going?" William asked, settling into a seat in the conference room. Nathan grinned, pulling up holographic projections of newly implemented systems. "Better than expected. 3 planets are already using our energy grids, and 2 more are in the testing phase. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive," Maria added, "and the safety protocols are holding strong. No incidents so far." William nodded, feeling a surge of pride. "Good work. Keep pushing forward." Later that night, as the EOS Voyager drifted through space, William found himself alone in the observation deck. He gazed out at the endless expanse of stars, their light twinkling faintly in the darkness. Thoughts of the past year swirled in his mind. The doubts, the risks, the victories. It had been a journey unlike any other, and while challenges undoubtedly lay ahead, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Laura stepped inside, her presence comforting. "Can't sleep?" she asked, joining him at the window. "Too much on my mind," William admitted. "But it's good stuff for once," Laura chuckled softly. "Yeah, it's nice to finally have some good news for a change." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the stars glide past. Then Laura spoke again, her voice gentle. "You know, I used to worry about what would happen if we failed. Now I'm starting to wonder what happens if we succeed." William turned to her, surprised by the question. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what's the endgame? What does success look like for us, for humanity?" He considered her words carefully before answering. "I think success looks like this. Like us being part of something bigger than ourselves. Like knowing we're not alone in the universe. And like leaving behind a legacy worth remembering." Laura smiled, her eyes shining with quiet admiration. "Not bad for a guy who started out trying to prove a point." William laughed softly. "Yeah, well, sometimes proving a point leads to proving yourself." As they continued to watch the stars, the EOS Voyager sailed onward, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of an entire planet. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through fear or aggression, but through courage, innovation, and a steadfast belief in the power of unity. And though the road ahead remained uncertain, one thing was clear: the galaxy would never be the same again.